to share something with you. That might put me in a very negative light, yeah.
Relationships are not my forte.
See if someone grabbed up my wife or something completely different ballgame.
I'll walk away from here, and this has been like a therapy session.
We're on. This is Umar Ahmed for IFL TV, proudly sponsored by Everlast. We were just having a chat about this before we start recording. Let's just quickly talk about the football yesterday, Gareth. Disappointing.
Yeah, very for England, I thought. Used to write about football, very in the I used to write about football for the Telegraph and for the Highbury Business Express as the Arsenal correspondent way back when Arsene Wenger was manager, when he first came as manager of Arsenal. It was a fantastic group of players. I remember befriending Ian Wright and that back four: Seaman, Winterburn, Bold, Dixon, Keown, Adams. And I used to write Lee Dixon and Martin Keown's columns in the Telegraph, Bob Wilson's columns. Yeah, Gary Lineker's first columns ever in the Sunday Telegraph. I wrote his columns. It's an extraordinary game, football, and it's a bit like boxing when momentum, when a fight seesawing. It was a seesawing match yesterday, and I really do think England could have won that 4-2. And if they'd been given their luck and opportunities, but you feel the whole nation slow down to watch it. I really enjoyed it last night. There were open fire going, cooked a turkey roast with my girlfriend, and we watched it. And it was a real shame for England. Woulda, shoulda, coulda, as we say in boxing.
Absolutely, yeah. And there was away from that, obviously that was the focus for the country last night, but there was a lot of boxing action that obviously we're going to discuss on this, Gareth. But just before that, I just want to go back a couple of weeks to Tottenham and just speak about the heavyweight division and the landscape. I got the feeling, I'm sure you did as well, at that press conference after the fight, that really the top of the division in terms of the titles, they're planning it around Fury, Usyk and Joyce. And that is sort of the mix that they're going with. I'm sure you got that same impression, Gareth.
Yeah, and it's funny, got a little bit of stick for mentioning Anthony Joshua, but love to have seen him there on the night. He fought there a year ago. And I know Fury doesn't go to Joshua's fight nights as well, so you can make the argument that crossover doesn't happen. But I'd love to have seen Anthony Joshua there on the night, just sticking his head in a little bit. Do you know what I mean? Causing a bit of aggro. No, but why not? And I think we're sorely missing him, because the axis that you mentioned developing is Fury going Usyk and Joyce next year. So is Joshua going White and Wilder? And are we moving further away from the Joshua Fury fight ever happening? Maybe. I've got it in my notes to chase up with Messrs Warren and Aram, Krasiuk and Klimas tomorrow, to see where they are with this, because it's 10 days since the fight tomorrow, and they told us that they want to try and get this over the line before Christmas. So I'll be giving them a little nudge and trying to get a few quotes to move the story on. There's nothing in the way of it, is there? I suppose, other than the World Cup coming to a close, so that part of the world is kind of settled, and the Saudis, where we believe it will go, will have put their offer in by then. But we need to know. I think Frank's out of action for a couple of days, but I'm going to try and get hold of him on the text.
Okay. So do you think before the year ends, we could have a press conference, an announcement for that fight? Is that realistic?
It is. We don't really need a press conference, I don't think. But it'd be great if we did have one. I hope it's realistic. They are saying it is. I want them to be true to their word. There was quite a lot of fallout negatively towards Derek Chisora not being pulled out earlier on the night. If his corner had pulled him out after 8 rounds, no one would have been moaning about it, frankly. It was 6 minutes too long, or 2 rounds too long. Why Don Charles didn't pull him out, I don't know, because he knows Derek well enough to know that Derek's not going to cuff him for doing it. He would only do it because they're like brothers, And the other argument is Derek was there for AJ when he fought in Saudi. So why wasn't AJ there for Derek when he fought in London. Yeah, but I think we have some really, really big heavyweight fights next year. Daniel Dubois needs properly testing. He got away with that WBA ruling not being upheld by the 3 knockdown rule, being not upheld by the Boxing Water Control, which they don't. I don't buy that he was really hurt and knocked down. I think he really did do his knee. I don't think he was trying to feign that in any way. But it was what it was as an evening. It was the Tyson Fury show again, wasn't it?
How much of a threat is Joe Joyce to both Usyk and Fury, whoever he fights in the summer?
It was a world-class press conference because Tyson Fury spoke the truth, as did Warren, as did Arum. I think he's right. I think Joe Joyce is a bigger test. And Fury's not going, I think I'll duck him. Do you know what I mean? So no, I'll have you. If Usyk doesn't want me, I'll fight you in the summer. That would sell out Wembley Stadium. Yeah. Easy. And it's a really good fight. Yeah, there's 2 fights I want to see Joe Joyce in. One with Tyson Fury and one with Deontay Wilder.
Yeah, Joyce Wilder is that's just popcorn stuff. Yeah, but yeah, not many people call out the Juggernaut. To be fair,
no, and I think Fury's got to work hard to outbox him and have a tough time against him. It may not be that edifying, but it'll be a push for him and a test for him. The weird thing is, both Usyk and Joyce are older than Fury. Yeah. So, but for me, if you want to do a recap of the year, I'd love to do that in the next few weeks. But if you want me to do it, and we find the time,
100%.
It's not been a fantastic year for the sport, in my view. We still haven't got a resolution on Conor Benn. What's going on with that? It's gone very quiet. Chris Eubank Jr. saying, I think I mentioned to you, I might have said this before, but saying that if he'd known about the second test, he wouldn't have taken the fight. Just shows you, and looking forward to his fight. We've got 2023 could be really good. We might finally see Spence and Crawford. I don't know if you're going to come on to that in a minute. We might finally see that. We might see all those lightweights facing off, with the Haney's and the Tank Davis and the Vasyl Lomachenko's and all that. But we could talk about next year, in a recap of the year. But like I say, it has been a really busy weekend for boxing. Some very interesting stuff going on.
Just before we come on to the action from all the cards last night, just going to throw a little curveball at you. I don't think you're expecting this one. Just seen Andrew Tate's made some comments saying he believes his fight with Jake Paul's not going to happen. How big would that fight be, Tate v Paul?
Well, Andrew Tate's just come across my radar, and I've just started looking up now. I think he and what's his name now? Bert Davis. No, not Bert Davis. Big Geordie. Big Geordie, is he called?
Oh, True Geordie.
True Geordie.
Yeah.
That's how important he is. I remember. Is it Bert Davis, his name?
Brian Davis, I think. I might
Brian Davis.
Yeah.
But Brian Davis, Bert Davis, whatever. Big Geordie. True Geordie. Now, they were going to fight, weren't they?
Yeah.
And Tate, I think, was a legit kickboxer or Muay Thai fighter.
4-time world champion.
Now, I don't know a lot about Andrew Tate, other than I know he called out the True Geordie, and he looks physically in really good shape. I've got to say that. And as you have mentioned, he's a 4-time world kickboxing Muay Thai champion. Him against Jake Paul, he probably gets beaten.
Who gets beaten? Tate.
Yeah, probably gets beaten.
Wow. Okay.
I think Jake Paul beats them all. I can't believe he beat Anderson Silva.
When you say beats them all, what world are we talking?
About just all of them that he eventually.
You don't mean the Canelos of the world, do you, Gareth? Just to clarify.
No. He carefully picks his opponents. Come on, let's be honest about this. They will look very, very carefully at whether Andrew Tate is beatable or not. He's not a boxer, remember, he's a kickboxer. Will that fight happen? Yes. There you go.
exclusive right there from yourself. All right, let's start with action we saw in Omaha, Nebraska. Terence Crawford, devastating, really, finish of David Avanesyan, who was putting up a good fight up till then. But do you think he's pound for pound number one, Terence Crawford?
Well, he looked amazing again against a guy who's really got a chin of granite, the Armenian Russian based in Nottingham. You know, David Avanesyan was making good fight of it up till then, I thought. You know? But Crawford is special. He is next level. You know, go back to football and talk about people of whether they're world class or this, that, and the other. There's world class and there's elite class. And that was a kind of Lionel Messi, Maradona stroke Pele kind of uppercut right hook from nowhere, right in the box, bing bang. It was amazing. And you look at, no one's been able to budge Avanesyan, have they really?
No.
You know, with that chin of his. So, no, he's special. And yeah, maybe he is number one pound for pound. Maybe we should make him pound for pound number one so that Errol Spence comes out of his cave and just has the fight. I mean, look what happened to him again on Saturday night.
I saw, yeah.
14-year-old in a stolen car, crashes into the front of him, wrecks his car. His third car accident in 3 years. And with the one in 2019, thank God he wasn't wearing his belt because he would be no more. Because remember, he was ejected, didn't break any bones. I mean, it's weird. And now he's survived 3 crashes. Let's get the fight on, you know?
Yeah, that was going to be my quick question on Terence Crawford before we move on. So we saw that video a few weeks back that he put out on his Instagram talking about Al Heyman and Spence and why the fight didn't happen. It didn't sound great in terms of a fight fan looking at that thinking, you know, could the fight happen? It didn't seem like it's ever going to get there, to be honest, from what he was saying.
Yeah, I mean, he's going to move mountains now to make that fight happen. I had an interview with him myself on Zoom like this a couple of weeks back before he fought Avanesyan, and he was saying, look, if I don't get Spence, there's always Jaron Ennis, who's a great fighter in the division as well, and there's always Virgil Ortiz for me to fight. There's still those 2 fights. So it could preclude that fight from happening for another year, but I think 2023 has got to be the year it happens. The promotion and control's got to be right in the background, is what I'm hearing from the Heyman side. Yeah, that was a 25-minute explanation the other day as well when he sat there on stage at the press conference, or the early press conference for Avanesyan, explaining that I just don't know how to get this over the line. It would be a massive travesty if those welterweights never meet. What are they? Nearly 80 fights between them undefeated. Crawford's, 39 and 38, I think it is, something like that. Crawford's come up 3 weight divisions. Spence is the naturally bigger man. He should have the advantages. He's a very, very smart southpaw fighter. Yeah, it's just disappointing. I can't remember how many times I've been asked the question, when do you think Spence and Crawford will be made? And we thought it was close recently, and then they've fallen apart. And as he told me in my chat with him, it's not going ahead at the moment. So now it will. I think those his post-fight comments as well. But brilliant performance by him. He's extraordinary. So gifted. He's so talented and so comfortable with everything he does. And that's why I think Shaka Stevenson, in the same camp, in the same stable, and they spar together. Shaka obviously being 25 to Crawford's 35 years now. Yeah. Watch Shaka take over. He's my favourite. He's my favourite in the world. Shaka will be pound for pound in 18 months.
Yeah. Staying in the United States, I haven't actually caught up with this fight yet between Teofimo Lopez and Sandor Martin because there's so many cards from last night. I haven't watched the fight, as I said. A lot of people on social media saying no, they thought Martin nicked the fight.
I haven't seen it yet either. I've read a lot around it. I've seen that Teofimo was down early, came back. And my great friend Dan Raphael, I've read his report. He doesn't have a massive issue with it. It's a close fight. That's what it's going to be. I've got to catch up as well with that. That's the one I haven't seen yet.
Well, I
as
see
well.
Sky Sports have put it up on their YouTube, so yeah, can watch it on
Yeah,
there.
exactly. They have. People don't realise we spend loads of our kind of like free time watching fights that we need to catch up on. But I've caught up on the UK ones as well. I don't know if you're interested in discussing those.
Yeah, let's talk about that. So, Josh Warrington suffering a loss last night. Yeah, thoughts on his performance and also the scorecards?
I had it 6-6 or 7-5 to Lopez, who I don't like his style. It's awkward, it's tricky, but it was effective against Warrington last night. He moved around and threw massive punches from distance and kept his hands down. Then he kept his hands up or was in the clinch when they were in close. I thought he won 6 of the first 8 rounds, something like that, or 5 of the first 9. 5 of the first 8. Yeah, but I definitely had him up. And then I had Warrington catching up towards the end, and Lopez looked exhausted and was caught in that weird, he was back in this weird stance, like he kept getting hit by the left hook, and he was standing like that and trying to get out of the way. He's a very weird fighter in the way he moves. Like he's back here, and then he's in here, isn't he? You know, it wasn't. It was a very grueling fight to watch. If you know what I mean, it was exhausting to watch. Josh never got the measure of him because he was in and out. He was too elusive, and was more effective in more moments during the fight. It wasn't a great fight for me. It wasn't a great fight visually because the styles clashed so badly, Umar, that there was so much holding. I thought after the warning for holding late in the fight that Lopez must have been very close to having a point deducted for holding. Do you remember that?
Yeah.
And I think had that happened, it would have been, what would have been then? Well, it would have just been a majority draw then, wouldn't it? But yeah, I mean, I'm glad that in some ways, I wouldn't have argued if it had been 7-5 the other way, but everyone would have been calling it hometown robbery, you know? It was a very close fight, but a horrible clash of styles. I think Warrington should fight him again if he can.
Depends if Lopez wants to give him the rematch, I suppose, but I think they're probably looking still at doing Warrington Wood from the comments I heard last night on interviews. Yeah,
it looked like that, but also knowing Josh as I have for many, many years, he wants to fight in America so he can take all his fans from Leeds to America, all his British fans to America. But yeah, Lee Wood was there working in the studio for DAZN in the broadcast, so obviously they were looking to line it up. But Eddie Hearn said that depending on Josh, he would still like to offer Josh the opportunity to fight in America. He's not going to get Leo Santa Cruz now he's lost. So the unification's gone, and it's whether he wants to fight this guy, get the belt back again, and then go for unification. But again, I don't think he's far from the end. Maybe 2-3 fights. So the Lee Wood fight's going to generate a lot of interest and money. Nottingham versus Leeds, huge. And those two guys will get good paydays out of it. I mean, where do you think he should go?
So it's hard for me to say. I'm not in Josh Warrington's corner. I don't know what they're thinking, whether they want the world title back, whether they just want to do the biggest money fight in terms of a Wood fight, etc. Depends what they want and where he is in his career. If he feels like he's only got one fight left.
If they find the right opponent, if they find the right opponent, he's fought. First time he's lost in Leeds, and I think he's fought there 17 or 18 times in his career. Eddie's got a lot of cards in America now, so if there's an opportunity to go to America, I think he might well take it. But like you say, him and Lee Wood's a good fight. It's a weird one with Josh because he's got a fantastic engine. He gets stronger and stronger as the fight goes on. He's had those terrific fights with Lee Selby, Kid Galahad, Carl Frampton, Kiko Martinez now a couple of times. And yet, he momentarily hurt Lopez last night, but then couldn't seem to finish. and it's not going to get easier for him. You know, at 32, making £126. God, you were probably 11 when you were £126. You know,
Gareth,
you know,
just you brought up Eddie there. I saw in a lot of his interviews last night, apart from the Warrington fight and the card, a lot of the questions were about some comments Eddie made saying that Joshua's resume is better than Fury's. Now, obviously, he's going to say that he's actually Joshua's promoter, but who's got a better resume?
Well, I mean, I'm sure I've discussed this with you before because every year Eddie says this, yeah. And Joshua's just lost 3 out of the last 5, hasn't he?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's right. So, all right, let me put it this way. Does Fury beat Alexander Povetkin?
Yes.
Yes. Does Fury look what Fury did to White? Who else have they got in common? Look what Fury did to Chisora. Look what Fury did to Klitschko. Yeah?
Yeah.
Never in trouble either. Never in trouble. Look what Fury did to Wilder 3 times. Imagine Joshua against Wilder. Yeah? And the Klitschko that Joshua fought was 2 years older than the one that Fury beat, and he'd already been beaten by Fury. Does Fury beat Pulev? Yes. Does Fury beat Andy Ruiz? Yes. Does Fury beat
Takam's another one on Joshua's list.
Oh, Takam? Yes. I mean, hello. You know, Wilder 3 times. White wasn't even. Did White land a punch on Fury?
Not that I can recollect, to be honest. I just have to go and watch it back.
I can't remember anyway. I can't remember. Well, then if Fury beats Usyk, yeah. Well, I mean, it's not.
Okay, give me Fury's top 3 wins, and then give me Joshua's top 3 wins.
Joshua's top 3 wins are Klitschko, Usyk 2. It wasn't a win, but that was one of his best performances, or his best 3 wins. Joseph Parker's a good win for Joshua. He was good that night in a weird fight. The rematch again. Right, hang on. The risk of I haven't got his record in front of me. Right, Klitschko,
Parker, Povetkin.
Yeah, Povetkin. But look how easily White beat Povetkin.
In the rematch.
I mean, look how easily Povetkin beat White as well. I mean,
and then I think Fury's top 3 wins are pretty straightforward.
Well, Fury's the two Wilders and Klitschko.
Yeah. Okay, I think we got your answer on that anyway.
I mean, if Eddie had signed Tyson Fury when he was 28 stone, Tyson Fury would be Muhammad Ali coming out of Hearn's mouth every day of the week. I've got Muhammad Ali. I've got the modern Muhammad Ali. But the thing is, it wouldn't work because Frank and Bob allow Tyson to be himself, you know, whereas Eddie would have talked too much for Tyson. But listen, the other day, by the way, I had to think about this. You asked me in the Q&A, and I want to correct myself. I said Bob Arum, Don King, Frank Warren, the best 3 promoters. Eddie's father, Barry Hearn, is in that mix as well. He was a phenomenal promoter. And the reason I didn't include Eddie, and he hasn't slid into my DMs giving me insults, is that he's still got a long way to go because it's just the longevity of those other guys. Because I was thinking about it afterwards because it's a really good question, you know. Yeah, I mean, Eddie brings that up every now and again, doesn't he, about the better resume. It's only because Joshua's under fire, because it's all about Fury and Usyk and Joyce at the moment.
I think, let me get the exact quote he said. Just hold up. Anything just off you want to get off your chest about last night's action on the Warrington?
Yeah, well, you say get off your chest, and then I'm going to mention Ebony Bridges, and it's not a deliberate segue. But I was sitting with my girlfriend watching her fight last night.
Go on.
And I do feel that she's a little savage. She is a savage. I mean, I'm supposed to be interviewing Ebony this week, and she'll probably give me a bit of stick over this, but she's just a brawler. She's a come-forward brawler, isn't she?
So this was the quote that I was referring to. This was Eddie Hearn to pro boxing fans. Anthony Joshua's resume is in a different league to Tyson Fury's. Fury fought Vladimir Klitschko and Deontay Wilder. That's it in terms of elite heavyweights. I know Dillian White was a good fight, but I'm talking about top guys consistently.
Top guys like who?
So no, he's saying he's only fought Klitschko and Wilder in terms of top guys.
Yeah, but what it needs Joshua to fight Wilder, and it needs Fury to fight Usyk, and then we know in terms of resumes. And then they need to fight each other anyway. It's always going to be a debate till they fight. You know, simple as that. Ebony, I'm delighted for, by the way. I mean, I couldn't work out what were her motivation into. I wouldn't know if she was trying to get into Shannon O'Connell's head in the weigh-in and all of that kind of stuff. But I thought she played it very cool last week. I said this from the start about Ebony. I met her a few years ago before she was famous, and you know, gave her a little bit of advice. Said, stop using the F-bomb. You don't need it. She's a very attractive, very vivacious, colourful character who's irrepressible, who was a bodybuilder and a maths teacher in Australia, who's come over here, and she's paving the way for other women. Not in the Katie Taylor mould, not in the Claressa Shields mould, in her own way. And that's what I really admire about her. She's doing it in her own way. And she is a kind of slightly sassy, out there character who's going to strip off for the weigh-ins and all of those kind of things. But at the end of the day, as I said, she's a little savage brawler when she gets in the ring, Umar. She's a savage brawler.
Listen, Gareth, this is actually going to run out in about 7 minutes. So
Okay.
On that note, thank you very much for your time on this Sunday evening. And I'm sure we'll do that end of year review either this side of Christmas or before or after it. We'll do something, all right?
Always a pleasure.
Thank you, Gareth. Speak soon. Take care.
I'm going to share something with you that might put me in a very negative light, yeah.
Relationships are not my forte.
See if someone grabbed up my wife or something, completely different ballgame.
I'll walk away from it, and this has been like a therapy session.